Hello, my dear friends. Today we will talk about a quiet woman whose simple act of courage changed an entire nation. Her name was Rosa Parks. She was not rich, not powerful, not famous. She was an ordinary woman, a seamstress who sewed clothes for a living. But one evening, she decided to stay seated on a bus. That one small decision became a spark that lit the fire of freedom across America. The story of Rosa Parks is not just about a bus. It's about dignity, respect, and the power of standing up by sitting down. Now, let's begin. Rosa Louise McCauley was born on February 4th, 1913, in Tuskegee, Alabama. She grew up in the deep South of the United States, a place where life was very different for Black and white people. At that time, laws known as Jim Crow laws separated everything: schools, restaurants, bathrooms, water fountains, even bus seats. Black children went to schools with old books and broken desks, while white children studied in bright classrooms with new supplies. Rosa's mother, Leona McCauley, was a teacher. She taught Rosa to read, write, and believe she was as good as anyone else. Her father, James McCauley, was a carpenter who built houses. As a little girl, Rosa often walked miles to school because the bus drivers would not let Black children ride. She watched white children laugh from their bus windows, and those moments stayed in her heart forever. Even as a child, Rosa felt that unfairness deeply. But instead of anger, she chose strength. Her grandmother used to tell her, "Rosa, you must never lose your self-respect, even if others don't see it." Those words became her guide for life. When Rosa was a teenager, the world around her was full of signs saying, "Whites only." Black people had to move aside on sidewalks, sit at the back of buses, and could not vote freely because of unfair tests and taxes. Rosa attended the Montgomery Industrial School for Girls, a place that taught young Black women to be proud, polite, and educated. But the school was later burned by people who hated change. After finishing school, Rosa worked as a seamstress. She spent long days sewing clothes for white families. Even when she worked hard, she was paid much less than white workers. In 1932, Rosa married a kind, brave man named Raymond Parks. He was a barber and an active member of the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Through Raymond, Rosa began to join meetings and help people who faced unfair treatment. She typed letters, took notes, and listened to stories of pain and courage. She heard about Black men wrongly arrested, women attacked and ignored by police, and citizens denied the right to vote. Each story made her heart stronger. She decided she would not only sew clothes, she would help stitch justice into society. In the 1940s and 1950s, buses in Montgomery, Alabama, followed strict segregation rules. The first rows were for white passengers only. The back rows were for Black passengers, and the middle area could change depending on who filled the bus. If a white passenger came and the front was full, Black passengers had to stand up and move back, even if they had already paid. Bus drivers had total power. They could order anyone to move or leave the bus. Some were rude and even violent. Rosa Parks knew these rules well. She experienced them almost every day. One time in 1943, she entered a bus, paid her fare, and the driver told her to get off and re-enter from the back door. When she stepped off, he drove away without her. That driver's name was James Blake. She would meet him again 12 years later. Rosa promised herself she would never ride a bus with him again. But fate had other plans. By 1955, she was 42 years old, still sewing clothes, still helping the NAACP, and still waiting for change that never seemed to come. Until one cold evening in December. It was December 1st, 1955. Rosa Parks finished her long day at work in a department store. Her feet were tired, but her mind was calm. She boarded a bus in downtown Montgomery. The same line, the same driver. James Blake. She sat in the middle section, in the first row, allowed for black passengers. As the bus moved, more white passengers came on. Soon, the seats for whites were full. Blake looked back and shouted, "You all better make it light on yourselves and let me have those seats." 3 black passengers stood up and moved. Rosa Parks stayed seated. Blake said, "Are you going to stand up?" She answered softly, "No." He threatened her. Still, she said, "No, I'm not." She later explained, "I wasn't tired physically. I was tired of giving in." The driver called the police. 2 officers arrived and arrested her. They took her quietly, but the world heard her voice. That night, news spread quickly through Montgomery's black community. A seamstress had been arrested for refusing to give up her seat. People felt shock, anger, and pride. Her courage awakened something powerful in everyone. After Rosa Parks was arrested on December 1st, 1955, she was taken to the police station. She was fingerprinted, photographed, and charged with breaking the city's bus law. Her husband, Raymond, and friends from the NAACP quickly arranged her release on bail that same night. Word spread fast. By morning, every black church in Montgomery was buzzing. "Rosa Parks has been arrested," people said. Community leaders decided this could not be ignored. That very evening, a young preacher named Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., only 26 years old, joined other ministers at a meeting. They planned a peaceful protest. They called for a one-day bus boycott, meaning no black person would ride the city buses on the following Monday. Flyers were printed and secretly passed from hand to hand. "Don't ride the bus Monday. We will walk for freedom." On December 5th, the morning of Rosa's trial, the streets were full of people walking to work, riding bicycles, or sharing cars. Buses were nearly empty. The boycott was a complete success, and the people decided not to stop after one day. They formed an organization called the Montgomery Improvement Association, with Dr. King as its president. They voted to continue the boycott until the bus laws were changed. For Rosa, it was strange to see her own quiet action turn into a movement. She said humbly, "I was just tired of giving in. I never thought it would turn into what it did." The boycott grew stronger every week. For 381 days, thousands of black citizens refused to ride city buses. They organized carpools. Some people walked miles every day to work or to school. Neighbors helped neighbors. Churches collected money to buy shoes because so many were wearing theirs thin. Bus companies began to lose large amounts of money. Drivers were angry. White business owners complained. City officials arrested many boycott leaders, including Dr. King. They threatened people, spread fear, and tried to break the unity. But the community stayed peaceful and determined. Rosa continued to attend meetings and help organize transportation schedules. Even though she lost her sewing job because of the boycott, she never complained. She said, "The only tired I was tired of giving in." The boycott showed something powerful. Ordinary people could fight injustice through nonviolent protest. The legal fight went to the federal courts. Lawyers argued that bus segregation violated the U.S. Constitution, the law that promises equal rights to all citizens. On November 13, 1956, the Supreme Court of the United States agreed. It ruled that segregation on public buses was unconstitutional. The news spread through Montgomery like sunlight after a storm. On December 20th, the city officially received the court order. The next day, buses were integrated. Black and white passengers could sit wherever they wished. After 381 days, the boycott ended in victory. On that first day of freedom, Rosa Parks boarded a bus and sat near the front. Reporters watched as she rode quietly with a gentle smile. She said simply, "It is a good feeling to be free." That quiet seat symbolized the start of a new era. Her act inspired movements across America, in schools, restaurants, and public places. The civil rights movement had found its voice. Even after the boycott, life was not easy for Rosa Parks. She lost her job and received threats. In 1957, she and Raymond moved to Detroit, Michigan, to find safety and work. But she never stopped believing in justice. She continued to help young people, speak at events, and support other civil rights leaders. She worked for many years as an assistant to Congressman John Conyers, helping citizens solve local problems. In 1987, she founded the Rosa and Raymond Parks Institute for Self-Development, which helped young people learn about leadership and history. Her quiet strength continued to inspire generations. In 1996, she received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and in 1999, the Congressional Gold Medal, America's highest honors for civilians. Rosa Parks passed away on October 24, 2005, at the age of 92. Her coffin was placed in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda, where thousands came to say thank you. Her legacy reminds us that one person's courage can awaken the conscience of an entire nation. My friends, Rosa Parks' story is proof that change begins with one brave decision. She didn't have wealth or power. She had quiet strength, calm faith, and a belief that dignity belongs to everyone. When she refused to give up her seat, she showed that peaceful resistance is stronger than violence. Her courage gave birth to a movement that transformed laws and hearts. Her message is timeless. Stand firm for what is right, even when you stand alone. Small acts can lead to big change. Never lose your self-respect. Believe that peace and equality can grow from courage. The bus where she sat still exists today, a symbol of hope and justice. Every time someone stands against unfairness, Rosa's spirit rides again.